everything that's on here to build a power distribution box for the back of my truck. I know for a fact in the back of my truck, I need 4 power circuits. I need one for a radio. I need one for a 12-volt fridge. I need one for the lights, and I need one for the fans. To that end, I ordered these bulkhead Anderson power poles to install in a box like this so that I can have 4 circuits coming out of the box on power poles. In addition to that, since I have a phone and a tablet and a couple other things that use USB-C and USB-A, I have USB-C and USB-A charging ports that I'm going to also tie in here. All of that put together through a fuse block, and the power coming into it is going to be off of a 50 amp Anderson power pole. Do I need 50 amps? Probably not. But I would rather have the capacity and not need it than need the capacity and not have it. To start with, this is the box I'm going to use. One of those Pelican wannabe cases. I found this at the local Restore, paid a song and a dance for it, significantly less than a Pelican would be, and less than the comparable item at the Hazard Fraught, and it's still heavier duty than the Hazard Fraught version. Whomever makes this is somewhere between the Pelicans of the world and the Hazard Fraughts of the world. First things first, I masked the sides where I expect to be drilling holes. Next, I'm going to be using the dust shields from the items I'm going to mount to draw out where these things are going to go. Both the hole that's going to be drilled and the outer perimeter of the grommet, so that I have an idea of where I can mount things. And what I've decided to do is I'm going to put a set of Anderson power poles on each side and a USB charger on each side. That way I can interact with this box from either side wherever I put it in the back of the truck. Next, we're going to drill. All of these holes are 1 1/8. There are a couple of ways you can clean up drill holes. One of them is to use a deburring tool, and this works okay. It gets the job done. A more tedious way that looks better is to use a little bit of sandpaper. Let me show you. So the bottom was deburred using this tool, which is a deburring tool, and then the top with some sandpaper. And you can see that while the sandpaper is a little bit more tedious, it leaves a nicer looking edge. And for all it's worth, you know, it's going to be buried under a connector anyways. Not my prettiest work, but it'll do. And as you can see, I already put some of this 3M command strip stuff on both the inside of the box and the fuse panel, because that's what I want to use to retain it in the box. It comes with screws. You can do screws and then trim them and whatever. But hey, you know what? I've done that before, and dealing with screws on the back of this thing and then cutting them cleanly and still having enough mechanical grip, kind of a pain. So guess what? This stuff is plenty strong that you can do this to it. I'm lifting the entire box by just the fuse block that is attached using the command strips. Love this stuff. Next, we are going to simply accommodate some items in here. The 12-volt USB receptacles came with these pre-made leads, and I'm just going to go ahead and use those. In the past, I've made one of these before, and what I've done is made new leads to keep the box tidy on the inside, but since this one already has a fuse, I don't mind the idea of having 2 fuses in line. And the back of these devices, I don't know if this will show on the camera, but they come labeled with positive on this side and negative on that one. Or if you want to get fancy about it, the positive is silver and the negative is bronze. The only downside of using these pre-made leads is that this ring terminal is bigger than what the fuse block can accept in terms of width. When I put it in here in this fuse block, I'm going to have to press it into place and let it deform into the cubby that is there for it. I'm going to do the rest of this off camera. I'll bring you back. Just like that, I have all the stuff done. I made leads and set the power poles in the housings, and I made leads and set the power poles in the housing with terminals and everything. And I don't have any 6 gauge properly sized fork connectors to connect into the fuse box. So I made 2 runs in tandem of 12 gauge and then terminated that into a 50 amp Powerpole. I checked online, and the ampacity of 12 gauge by itself doubled up gets me close enough to 6 gauge that I'm okay with that. It's 6 gauge is 55 amp and this is going to be 50 amps, which is the rated portion of the connector. So all we're doing now is just putting it all together. Feed through the side here. You know what works better? I put the dust covers on them. Tighten everything down so that I'm not cursing every time I try to connect this thing and it starts to spin on me, right? Just snug it down so that it doesn't spin on its own. Next, I will get everything connected to its own fuse. So there are 4 of these circuits, 2 on each side, so there are 4 remaining fuse items on the block. I will take care of those next. Let me get all of this pulled in. So assembly of the box is complete, as you can see there. Not my prettiest cable management, but now all that remains is let's verify that we have continuity where we need to have continuity and no continuity where we don't need to have any continuity. So I want to test the negative lead here, and I should have all the way there. I'm going from the feed point, that would be input from the battery, to the fuse block, and I got the tone there. So now let's try the power poles on each side. Okay, 2 on that side. Let's try this side. And now while we're at it, let me check the positive side to make sure that there's no tone on the positive side. Nothing on the positive side. So far, so good. Let's test the positive side on the fuse block. Awesome, no problems there. Next, let's go to the negative on the 12-volt rail for the USB. And perfect, and nothing on the positive side of it either. This is exactly what we want. Next, I'm going to do the positive. Power poles check out, fuse blocks checks out. The other 2 power poles. And now let's check the USB. Perfect. And nothing to the negative that's positive. And let's see, nothing on the negative. Perfect. This is all we need now. Power delivery for the truck bed is ready. Now it's just a matter of finding a proper place to fit it. I heat shrunk the input lead for 2 reasons. A, this is silicone wire. I wanted to give it a little bit of an extra coating. And B, this edge is a little rough and I don't have a grommet for it. I thought I had a grommet for it, but I don't. And until I get a chance to go to the hardware store and get a grommet for this hole, I don't want to take a chance of nicking the cable. So the extra protection from heat shrink will do the trick. Next, and the last bit I'm going to do on this one is I'm going to connect this to a battery and verify that charging works on the USB ports. Because yes, I have had occasion where I bought one of those from Amazon and no, it did not charge. I'm actually going to move a battery in place here. Let me make some room. Or I suppose I could just use my smaller battery. I was going to use the Behemoth. Oh, I still have to use the Behemoth because that's the only one that I have. The Behemoths are the ones that have the big power poles on them. So here we are. We are going to get these connectors done. USB powers up at 13.7 volts there. 14 volts there. Makes you wonder why. They're the same brand, same make. Well, I'm using my iPhone to record, so I can't test with my iPhone, but the next thing I'm going to do is I'm going to plug my iPhone into each one of these and verify that I get a charge. If I do, then this is ready for the truck, and if not, then I'll have to buy replacement items from Amazon. That's all I got on this one, folks. We'll catch you guys on the next one. 7-3.